Leaving was supposed to be the finish line. You expected relief, your body to unclench, to wake up one day and just feel lighter, calmer, and more like yourself. You expected freedom to arrive at the moment that the relationship ended. The number was blocked, the door was closed, and the papers were signed. Many women, when they leave abuse, feel worse. Not emotional dramatics, but quietly unsettled, on edge, flat, disconnected, hyper-aware, and exhausted without knowing why. That moment creates confusion that cuts deeper than the relationship itself. If the threat is gone, why does your body still feel like it's waiting for something bad to happen? This episode exists because that question deserves a real answer. I'm Megan Webster, an abuse recovery coach, a trauma-informed strategist, and the woman a narcissist hopes to never meet twice. This is the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare podcast, where we talk about what actually happens after abuse. This is a space for women who have a desire to leave, have left, or have already left an abusive relationship and want to understand why their nervous system did not get the memo that the danger ended. You want to know the root level work that is required to allow you to actually feel free versus out of the relationship and still feeling trapped. Leaving an abusive or controlling relationship removes the immediate source of danger, but it does not tell the body that it's safe. That distinction is where so many women begin to turn on themselves. You make the hardest decision of your life. You leave, you create distance from the harm, and instead of relief settling in, your body stays tense. Your sleep doesn't return the way you expected it to. Your chest still tightens. Your nervous system still remains on alert, and quietly, shame creeps in. You wonder why freedom doesn't feel like freedom. Well, your nervous system does not operate from logic, insight, or timelines. It operates from pattern recognition. For a long time, your body learned that closeness led to volatility, that honesty led to consequences, and that relaxation led to surprise. Calm was not neutral. It was often the moment before something shifted. So your nervous system adapted by staying ready, not anxious, always alert enough to respond quickly, and that readiness lives inside of your muscles, your breathing, your digestion, your ability to rest. It became automatic. When you leave, the environment changes faster than the body can understand. The nervous system does not release protection because you finally choose yourself. It releases protection after it experiences stability repeatedly without threat. That process takes time and consistency. Until then, your body continues to do what kept you alive. That is not dysfunction. That is intelligence shaped by experience. This is why women can be objectively safe and still feel unsafe within themselves. Your body is not living in the present moment yet. It's still operating off past outcomes. It's still scanning for shifts, still preparing for impact, and the absence of harm does not immediately register as safety when harm used to arrive without warning. Many of my clients will internalize this as failure. They think that they should have fixed everything. They believe that if they were strong enough to leave, they should be strong enough to feel better by now. And that is the belief that will keep them stuck. Healing does not mean your nervous system forgets what it learned. It means it's slowly gathering new evidence that the rules have changed. Relief and safety are often confused, especially in the early stages after leaving. Relief is the absence of pressure. It's the moment the arguing stops, the silence after the chaos ends. It can feel emotional, even euphoric, in small, short bursts. Relief often comes in waves. You might feel lighter one day, then tense the next. Those moments are real, but they are temporary. Real safety is different. It's the presence of stability. It is not the feeling that rushes in. It's the state that builds quietly over time. It gives you the ability to move throughout your day without monitoring someone else's mood. And it is knowing that nothing will escalate if you say the wrong thing or do nothing at all. Safety requires the absence of punishment, not just the absence of the person. This is why anxiety often returns after moments of relief. Women assume something is wrong when the calm doesn't last. What is actually happening is a relief alone cannot retrain a system that spent years preparing for unpredictability. When calm used to precede escalation, calm itself becomes activating. Silence feels loud. Peace feels suspicious. And the body waits for the other shoe because it learned that calm is never permanent. Safety does not announce itself. It does not come with a big dramatic shift. It has to be proven slowly through repetition, through many days where nothing explodes, through weeks where needs aren't a result of a consequence, through months where your body experiences consistency without it collapsing. Your nervous system does not need reassurance. It needs lived-in evidence. This is where so many women feel really lost. They expect safety to feel like a relief, and when it doesn't, they assume that they're broken. They don't realize safety feels unfamiliar unfamiliar at first because chaos was once home. Learning a new baseline for yourself takes time. Leaving exposes the cost of survival in a way most women are not prepared for. Inside the relationship, your nervous system has done its job. It stayed oriented outward. It tracked moods, anticipated reactions, adjusted behavior, and minimized risk. Even though it was exhausting, you know what it is, and it gave your system a role. And when you leave, that role disappears abruptly. The external threat is gone, but the internal readiness remains. What surfaces next is not emptiness, it is unprocessed survival energy. The anxiety that shows up is not new to you. It is stored vigilance looking for a new place to go. Your numbness is not apathy, it's exhaustion. The feeling of being lost is not weakness, it is your identity reorganizing under control. This is why so many women say they felt stronger inside the relationship than after leaving. Inside, adrenaline carried them. It masked the fatigue. It kept them functioning. And on the outside, when the adrenaline drops, the body finally asks for what it couldn't afford before: rest, stillness, integration. And that request can feel like a collapse if you don't understand what's happening. I once had a client who prided herself on how much she could handle. After leaving her abusive husband, small decisions overwhelmed her. She felt fragile and embarrassed. What she didn't realize was that the strength she had been borrowed from survival chemistry for years. And once that chemistry was gone, her system wasn't failing her, it was recovering. Healing, recovery, it's not cute, it's not a TikTok trend, it doesn't look impressive. It looks slow, it looks unproductive, it looks like needing support. Abuse changes how a woman relates to herself, often in ways she does not recognize until she leaves. When your thoughts, emotions, reactions, or needs were repeatedly challenged, dismissed, or punished, your system learned that the accuracy was dangerous. Truth created conflict, expression led to consequences, and over time, harmony replaced honesty. Stability became more important than self-reference. That pattern does not disappear automatically when the relationship ends. Many women find themselves second-guessing decisions, freezing when presented with options, feeling strangely disconnected from their own preferences. Why choosing feels so heavy, why desire feels muted, why they don't trust themselves in the ways that they thought they would. This is not because they don't know who they are. It is because their identity was organized around containment instead of choice. Their nervous system learned how to adapt, not how to decide. Rebuilding internal orientation requires time, repetition, and safety. It asks you to relearn how to ask yourself what you want without standing for consequence. This is where a lot of women start questioning themselves over small things. What do I actually like? Why does deciding feel so exhausting? Why do I freeze when I have all these options in front of me? Those questions are not a sign of regression. They are a sign that your nervous system is no longer being internally directed and is learning how to orient inward again. Rebuilding your relationship with yourself is a learning curve that feels uncomfortable. It can feel disorienting. It can feel like a loss, but it absolutely is not failure. It's the process of reclaiming authorship over your own life after it is shaped around somebody else's control. Freedom often feels disappointing because it doesn't arrive the way survival taught them to expect change. Inside a controlling or abusive dynamic, everything was heightened. Your body lived in contrast, where there was tension, then relief, fear, and then calm, conflict, then repair, or silence. The constant oscillation trained your nervous system to recognize intensity as aliveness. When you leave and that stimulation disappears, the absence can feel like emptiness instead of peace. What you are actually experiencing in this phase is called decompression. Your body spent a long time producing stress hormones just to get through the day. Once the threat is removed, those systems do not immediately shut off. They slowly downshift, and during the downshift, many women feel flat, uninterested, disconnected, or strangely hollow. A lot of my clients share things like, I feel empty, and it's not because they've lost themselves. It's because their body is no longer running on emergency fuel, but because their body is no longer running on empty. This is also why joy can feel muted at first. Pleasure requires safety. Enjoyment requires presence. And when your system is still scanning for danger, it cannot fully settle into moments that would otherwise feel good. This does not mean you're incapable of happiness. It means your body has not yet been given enough proof that it was allowed to relax without consequence. There is often shame layered into this phase, where women think they should feel grateful, lighter, stronger. And when they don't, they assume assume something is wrong with them. They tell themselves they must not have healed properly, or they are too broken beyond repair. In reality, your body is doing exactly what it was trained to do for years, and it's time to learn a new baseline. I hate to be the one to tell you, but freedom is not fireworks. It will feel like the slow disappearance of fear responses you forgot were there. It is the gradual loosening of tension you stopped noticing because it was always present. It's the moment you realize you entire afternoon without bracing for something bad to happen and you didn't think about it till later. Flatness is not failure. It's actually the early stage of regulation. Freedom is not something you arrive at, but a condition your body learns through consistent, uneventful experiences. The nervous system does not trust words, it trusts patterns. Every day that passes without punishment, volatility, or emotional threat, it becomes evidence that the environment has changed. This is why trying to think your way into freedom rarely works. You can understand intellectually that the relationship is over, that you are safe now, that you made the right decision, and still feel tense in your body. That tension is not resistance, it's muscle memory, and memory is resolved through experience, not through logic. Freedom grows when your system experiences predictability, when mornings start without dread, when evenings end without conflict, when your phone buzzes and nothing bad follows, when you make a choice and no one interrogates it, when you rest and nothing collapses because you did. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are building blocks of embodied safety. Another critical component of freedom is the removal of self-surveillance. Many women leave abusive relationships but continue monitoring themselves internally. They police their own reactions. They question their needs. They override their discomfort. They push themselves to be strong instead of allowing themselves to be a human. True freedom includes learning how to stop managing yourself as if someone else was still watching. This is where the work becomes internal rather than relational. You're no longer fighting an external threat. You're teaching your body that it no longer to be on guard inside of itself. That process is slower than leaving, but it is actually what creates peace. Freedom is not loud, it is steady. It shows up when your shoulders drop without effort or consciousness, when your breathing deepens without true intention, as your thoughts slow down because they no longer need to solve imaginary problems. Over time, the quiet stops feeling empty and starts feeling supportive. Healing after abuse is subtle, repetitive, and often invisible to anybody but you. It looks like noticing that you no longer flinch at raised voices, even on television. It looks like realizing your appetite has slowly returned without a big announcement. It looks like sleeping through the night and not remembering when that started happening again. There is also a grief in this phase that many women do not expect. Not necessarily grief for the relationship, but the version of you who lived in survival for so long. As your body does soften, you may feel sadness surface that was held back by adrenaline. It does not mean you regret leaving or want that person back. It means your system has finally had enough safety to process what it endured. Healing will also look like moments of fear that seem to come out of nowhere, sudden anxiety, unexpected tears, irritability without a clear cause. These are not signs that you're going backwards. They are signs that stored survival energy is releasing. Your body is completing the cycles that were interrupted by the need to stay alert. This is where patience matters. Trying to rush this stage often backfires. Pushing yourself to be confident, independent, or empowered before your system is ready can recreate the same pressure you have escaped. Healing requires permission to move slowly without self-adjustment. This phase of healing is where many women benefit from structured, stabilizing support, not motivational bullshit, not pressure to reframe, but grounded guidance that understands trauma lives in the body and resolves through consistency. Inside of the Reinvent, Rebuild, and Redeem membership, this phase is treated with respect, not urgency. The work focuses on regulation, rebuilding trust with your own signals, and learning how to live without bracing for impact. Healing is not about becoming someone new. It is about allowing the version of you that existed before survival took over to come back online at your own pace. One of the most damaging messages that women can receive after leaving abuse is the expectation to be better quickly. Society celebrates the exit and then loses patience with the aftermath. Friends move on. Family assumes the worst is over. Support fades right when the nervous system begins its most vulnerable work. This is why so many women feel alone after leaving, even when they're surrounded by people. Their pain no longer looks urgent enough to be taken seriously, yet it is deeper and quieter than ever before. They are no longer reacting to abuse, they're integrating its impact. Support during this phase needs to be stabilizing, honoring the body's timeline instead of imposing an emotional one. It should validate confusion, fatigue, and grief without framing them as a problem to solve. This is not about fixing you, it is about holding you when your nervous system celebrates itself. The Reinvent, Rebuild, and Redeem membership was not built to push women into empowerment fantasies, but to help them rebuild from the ground up. We want to create an internal steadiness that does not depend on exterior validation or constant vigilance. You do not need to perform strength to deserve support or be inspirational to be worthy of caring. You need environments that are consistent, calm, and trustworthy enough for your body to finally rest. This is where the true rebuild happens after abuse, quietly, slowly, without spectacle, and it is more powerful than anything that came before. If you have left and don't feel free, your body just hasn't learned yet that the danger is past. Freedom is not the absence of the abuser, it is the presence of safety inside your own system. That takes time, consistency, and support. There is nothing wrong with the pace you are moving at, and there is nothing broken about the way your body is responding. You are not behind, you are integrating. If this episode cracked something open in you good, I hope that it gave language to something that you've been quietly carrying. Please share it with another woman who needs it. Hit follow so you don't miss the next one. Send me a DM on Instagram to tell me what landed the hardest for you. And if you know that you need structured support while your body learns safety again, the RRR membership exists for this exact season. We have 2 calls every single month and a private coaching space for ongoing message support. This is the Narcissist Worst Nightmare podcast, and if you do not feel free after you've left an abusive relationship yet, your body is just trying to catch up.